Saturday, well, Plus Sports Special is what we call it. Welcome on the show. We want to apologize for starting a little late. You know how these things work in the studios. Fix this, fix that, you know. Welcome on the show. My name is Wale Scott. I got a bumper package this morning, and you will understand why when you start or when you finish watching the show at the end of the day. But before I go to what my major topic is today, and people have complained. I have a few friends in this job who are colleagues who consistently say, Iwati, cricket most of the time, and we've never seen you play before. You know what? Since nobody's talking about it, okay, I will take up the gauntlet. If you guys don't talk about it, maybe I'll talk. Let me be the only person in the bush talking about it, okay? Before I go to that, really, I promised you yesterday, and I told you his name, Akin Denton. He'll be on the show today, and I made a promise, and I fulfilled it. He's here, you know? But let's go to, well, issues that are nearer us now, okay? Super Eagles will take on the Lone Stars of Liberia on Saturday, that's today, for the 16th time in history in a Qatar 2022 World Cup qualifying fixture. Victory will put them firmly in sight for the playoffs. The Eagles have won 10 of their last 15 encounters, losing 3 wins and drawing 2. The 3-time African champions sit top of Group C with 2 games left to play, having recorded 3 wins and a defeat in their opening 4 games as against their host, who have only 1 win and 3 defeats from the same games played. Gernot Rohr has acknowledged that a 4th win of the campaign could likely see side progress to the playoffs if second-place Cape Verde failed to beat CAR in Mindelo on Saturday, today too. The Franco-German boasts an impressive run with the Eagles on the road, and it will be eager to continue the run when they face the Lone Stars at the Stade Ibn Battuta in Tangier, Morocco. Now, speaking at his official pre-match news conference, the Nigeria manager reiterated that his side is in a good moment, but while emphasizing his squad's motivation, he also warned against complacency. I was going to warn against that too. Seun Ajidagba, welcome on the show.
It's a pleasure here, Wale Scott, and Plus Sport on PlusTvAfrica, channel 48. And I'm very pleased and delighted to be in the same studio with my big Oga.
No, you know how to chance me, don't worry, I'll come to you later. And I will introduce Oga. His name is Akin Denton, but I'll do an extensive introduction later. But quickly, let's just run through this.
Yeah.
I have never been one to speak for the technical ability of Gernot Rohr, so I won't talk about it. You know, yeah. I don't think it's important. My little grouse before this game is that Victor Osimhen scores in Italy like it's going out of fashion. Kelechi Iheanacho doing very well. They are still very young. Paulo, Awoni, they are scoring regularly and they're still very young boys. I think it's degrading to now say you have to bring Igalo back from the dead to come back and play. Is it the experience you want or is the goals you want? Because these boys are scoring regularly. If they had the chance, they will score for Nigeria. In some clients, it might give them a psychological defeat by bringing Igalo from nowhere to come play for us. So, which means we're not important. We're not doing well, Abi. Well, is that what Roy is saying?
You can argue for or against on the matter of Odion Igalo. It divides opinion. So, you're bringing him back because you feel the strikers are not hitting the bullseye. And I asked a simple question, what's wrong? It must be your tactics that is wrong. Because if guys are doing well at their various clubs and they cannot replicate such performances for the national team, then it means something is wrong somewhere. We spoke before we got into the studio about the Union Berlin striker, Tawa Awoni, who is the 5th highest goal scorer in the German Bundesliga, despite playing for a club that's not so pronounced. You know of what Paulo is doing for Genk, and he cannot replicate same here. You know, Osimhen is doing well for Napoli, and all these guys, you still feel they are not hitting the bullseye, and you needed to bring Igalo back. It could actually work in your favor, and it could affect you. Why I'm saying this is, if Igalo comes and he does well, you claim to say the reason I brought him back was justified. But if he turns the other way around, then it becomes a problem. Quick one, they returned Zlatan Ibrahimovic for Sweden after 2 years. His first game was against Georgia. They lost by 2-0. I'm sure people will start saying, why bring back Zlatan when we had Alexander Isak? The same way it could happen to Super Eagles. I just pray it does not happen because we need to get victory against Liberia today and Cape Verde on Tuesday. Those guys are behind us. They are just trailing us by 2 points. So any slip up from any angle could cost us a place in Qatar 2022, which I don't really play for. So I just hope we get the job done. But again, Ighalo must not play today. I have my reasons. Because you don't want to set a bad precedence. Why am I saying this?
I can assure you,
If he plays today,
is not very
yes, if he plays today, if he plays today, you have set a bad precedent because Maduka Okoye did same and was dropped.
He can come from the bench.
He should not come from the bench because Maduka Okoye came late for the game, I think against Central African Republic. You punished him that he will not get a game time and he didn't play at all. Ighalo just came some days to this game. He arrived just on Thursday.
He had COVID-19 issues.
Okay.
Argentina took a significant step towards World Cup qualification with a 1-0 win in Uruguay in Montevideo. Now, Angel Di Maria scored the only goal of the game early on with an elegant curling finish after Paulo Dybala pounced onto a defensive mistake by the home side. They then soaked up the pressure from their host with relative ease to claim 3 points, although Luis Suarez did hit the post. Lionel Messi made an appearance, his late second half substitute. It was a cameo appearance. Now, Uruguay remain in danger of missing out of a place in Qatar. They are 6th in the 10-team qualifying group after 3 defeats in a row. Now, this man is the CCC chairman. He's a member of the Board of Trustees of the FCC, a former coordinator of the FCC, one-time vice chairman of the Lagos State Cricket Association, employee of one of the subsidiaries of FBN. His name is Akin Denton. Welcome on the show.
Good morning, Wale. Thank you for having me.
Let me go straight to it. The reason why basically I am involved in, my colleagues are not, they shy away from cricket. You know, they won't talk about golf. It's about football, basketball. And I was lucky to have gone to a secondary school that was cricket oriented. You know, and around us it was always Government College Ughelli cricket, FGC Warri cricket, Hussey College cricket in Warri then. And then if you come this way, you have to get to Lagos King's College, Ijaniki. If you want to go to the southwest, Ogbomosho, a little bit in Ilorin and all that. And so growing up, it was about table tennis. Why? Because our soccer way could be a table tennis. So you just go and get pass by plank in a carpenter.
And then you play.
It's set to be good to go.
Yes.
Football, you get one ball, your slippers can be the post, and we're good to go.
True.
Basketball, gaining momentum gradually. But cricket, what was the lure for you?
Thank you once again, Wale. Luckily, I also went to a unity school. Specifically, I went to Federal Government College, Ogbomosho. And a few things, provided the opportunity to have been engaged in cricket at that time. While I was there, the then games master was of Asian descent. I think he was from Pakistan. So while purchasing the equipment, that the students would use, had bought, some cricket equipment at that time. And he had 2 young sons, who are also in school with us, who had had contact with the game much earlier. All of that put together, we had a senior who had come to do his A-levels, Tokiaka. Tokiaka had gone to King's College for his ordinary level, and he was a great cricket enthusiast. So when he came with Qureshi, the games master, his 2 sons, and Toke, and we had a few other students who had lived abroad, who were schooling with us in Ogbomosho then, that provided the opportunity for us to engage in the game. So that was my first contact way back at about maybe 1980. And so we started playing cricket in secondary school, but what reinforced my interest was that we played two matches while in school, and both matches were with Olivet High School in Oyo. They had a cricket team. And both times when they would come down, they would come with their school bus. The students would come down in all whites. We all had to wear whites as well.
Yeah.
There was no DSTV at that time, so I really had not visualized, what the game was all about. And we would play. We would roll the pitch, lay the carpet, the mat, and then we would play. And part of what really fascinated me was the reception afterwards. Lunch would have been arranged for us cricketers, as part of refreshments around the game. The cricketers were only allowed to eat, other students weren't allowed to join us.
And it's extra food for a border.
And it was extra food for a border. So that reinforced it, and I have never looked back since then.
Okay, now, honestly, a few colleagues too will tell you it's an elitist sport. You know, football, all you need is a ball on your legs. You know, table tennis, a plank from a carpenter and your soccer way. You know, even these days, basketball safe can even, you know, but cricket is believed you have to buy the bats, you have to buy all the pads you need and all that. And that rich kids can only get involved in it. The poor kids tend to shy away, thinking, where will I get money to buy bats? Where will I get money to buy this? You know, so what will the cricket board do to actually make them understand, listen, it's not an elitist sport. You can actually get involved without little or no money. People are running away from cricket not because they don't like the game, but because they feel I'm too poor to get involved in it.
Okay, so what we're doing is to bring it to the level of the ordinary man. And you truly don't have to have gone to those schools that we've mentioned to play the game. Yes, the equipment themselves are expensive, but we, over time, have been able to work around it in such a way and manner that we have been able to bring together the cheap versions of those things just to at least even start or to cultivate the interest in the first instance. So we are able to go to carpenters now and make bat shapes. We're able to use tennis balls rather than the main balls in the first instance to teach the game, you know. And that's in most states in Nigeria, that in most federations now, is what they're doing. Yes, the major equipments themselves are expensive, but we're able to work around it, you know, in such a way and manner that the ordinary man can play the game. It all boils down to understanding. While I was in the university, some friends of mine would say that your Asian Punjabi game, that's your English game. 12 guys will wear white and they'll be running after one red ball on the pitch. They just couldn't understand that, you know, even though you all wore white, you know, the batting team and the fielding team were different from each other. You know, so it's all about understanding, and we're trying as much as possible to bring it to the fore now that everybody can play cricket. You know, we're providing that platform and we're improvising, you know, to reduce the cost around the expensive equipments, you know.
Before I go to the trip to Rwanda, because we showed the picture a few minutes ago, that was from yesterday at the airport. We'll go to that later. But you've just been elected the chairman of the CCC. Honestly, in your assessment, how will you assess the last season's league, 2021-2022? Before I say what corrections do you think should be made, assess the season first off. Your honest assessment.
Last season, there wasn't any cricket because of the pandemic. You know,
and so far,
so we lost a lot in that regard. But the season before, cricket was played, you know, and it could be better. It's not in my place to come here and cast aspersions about, you know, some region or whatever. But what we want to see is that cricket should continue to be on the up. You know, when the Club Cricket Committee started 30 years ago, there were just 4 teams that were involved in cricket in Lagos. Currently, what I inherited is a league of 18 teams that we plan to sustain and that we plan to also improve. So clearly, it's been on the up. Around here, infrastructure is a major consideration, but we thank God that there is a lot of improvement, particularly with the leadership that we have now at the NCF, with the new president. So the framework for development and engagement, the strategies around that, you know, are available now, and it can only get better.
I'll come back to you, Chairman. Yeah. Now, Seun, in the last few days that we've been covering cricket, you know, and the last few years, it's very obvious. That's something everybody will notice. Most of the guys who are playing cricket now and who are doing very well in cricket are actually very young. 14, 15, 16, 17, which means the chairman and the rest of his crew have a lot of work to do to ensure they consistently nurture them. Don't let a 14-year-old child who's already winning awards in competitions already, don't let him just go away. Consistent, when I mean nurture, go to their homes, get to know their parents, go that far.
So as I talk to you now, if you get to Tafawa Balewa Cricket Oval. You find some coaches there coaching some youngsters, both male and female.
As we speak.
As we speak. And this is courtesy of both the Lagos State Cricket Association, where Mr. Akin has been one-time vice chairman, and the CCC, in ensuring that we continue to know. There's a boy who traveled to Rwanda. His name is Ridwan Olai. Ridwan is the youngest in that team. I knew when Ridwan started playing cricket at the TBS. Now he played for Lagos State and is representing Nigeria. What am I saying is that they are making frantic efforts in ensuring, and it's not only male. You find female. To now make it more interesting, children of cricketers would always come.
That's the man that has a story behind him.
There's
a major story behind that this man.
So for anything we want to say credit to the CCC. When you talk about your Super Eagles, they are all foreign-based players, except for John Noble, who will not get to play. The team that went to Rwanda, all of them plied their trade in the league here in Lagos. And that is also credit to the CCC.
Let me go to the chairman on that one. Everybody in our cricket league plies their trade in Nigeria here. They are one of us, they are you and me. But word on the street says that we have the best cricket league in West Africa. How do you, what were the indices used for that? Because really, let's ask ourselves, if we all play here, and we have some countries in West Africa who actually have one or two players who actually play abroad. But here we are all in Nigeria here. So how do we identify with, how do we believe this, Nigeria is the best cricket league in West Africa? How do we agree to that?
Okay, so it goes back to what I had actually introduced earlier. On the West Coast, arguably Nigeria has, Lagos has the biggest cricket league. Like I mentioned earlier, with 18 teams currently. There's no other league on the West Coast that has that number of clubs. So if you have 18 clubs and there are at least 20 registered players in each of those clubs, so you could arguably how many players that we have play here. So talking about, is it the best? Is it the largest? I would say yes, it is the largest. Is it the best in terms of how it's being run? I also think so. Because regardless of where our current Nigerian players reside within the country, some live in Edo, some live in Owerri, some live in Kaduna, some are based in Lagos, some are based in Ogun. Regardless of where they live, they all always come back to Lagos to play in the Club Cricket Committee organized league. Because it's that platform where we're a major stakeholder, and we provide that platform for identification, for nurturing, talents in Nigeria that the national team can now groom, to represent the country, eventually. So you can liken the CCC to that league, to that Premiership league, just like the Premiership in football, So we're a major stakeholder. We organize that league, and it's from us that talents are groomed, officials, umpires are groomed and nurtured, and so we're a major conduit part, both for the state and for the federal.
Now, we're getting ready for the ICC Men's T20 qualifiers. That starts tomorrow in Rwanda.
It actually starts on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
Yeah.
Well, we traveled yesterday. We showed a picture a few minutes ago about them at the airport yesterday. And what are your expectations?
As every Nigerian would do.
Yeah, there they are at the airport.
As every Nigerian would wish, I wish the team the very best of luck. So much has been put in place. They've been in camp for months, and I think they are fit. There was a recent bilateral game, Sierra Leone, which we won convincingly. So I think they're ready to go. But if we're going to say it the way it is, and objectively as well, without any emotions, they're going to be playing with countries that perhaps play a bit of more cricket than we do. And that's what I see the current NCF trying to do. They're trying to provide that framework They're trying to provide infrastructure. They're trying to ensure that cricket is played 12 months in a year. You know, up until this time, we only play when the rains are off. Up until this time, we used to play on a concrete pitch. Now, for the first time, you know, we have pitches that are tough.
Yes.
Unilag is tough. There are a few pitches in Benin that are tough. The TBS is 90% complete. In a very short while, it will be available for play.
Tough will be TURF. So you can understand out there.
Tough cricket. So, with the framework around infrastructure, with the plans that the NCF has, with us being stakeholders, we can only just take the game, you know, to the next level. And I can speak for Lagos State. I'm aware that there's so much developmental plans in progress to take boys from the street, leveraging those equipments I talked about, improvised, to ensure that everybody can play the game, regardless of what school or wherever it is that you come from.
Now, your newly put together government are about to arrange the playoffs. Now, what's this about, and how many teams will be participating in this?
Okay. 2 years ago, when cricket was last played, club cricket in Nigeria, the ICC came out with some regulation around requests for standardization. The ICC is the International Cricket Council, and they said for any team, for any league to be recognized by the ICC, you had to have at least 8 teams playing in that league. Now, that year, Lagos had 7 teams. So there was a need to add one more, but it was decided that what we want, since it is a minimum of 8 teams, the Lagos League would have 9 teams. That was decided. So what we're trying to do, the playoffs, is to provide a platform for 4 teams, namely Rising Stars, St. Gregory's College 1, Ibejuleku 2, and Federal Government College Warri, to engage themselves on the field of play to decide on what 2 teams would make up the 9 that will be playing in Division 1, trying to embrace best standard, ICC standard going forward. So that's the essence of the playoffs. We're not sitting down in our office or in our boardroom and just choosing teams. Rather, we are saying that teams should engage, you know, and the winner, the best 2 winners should occupy the next 2 spots.
Now, what hinders...
Maybe I should just also add to what the chairman has said. In trying to buttress his point, we know in the Premier League that we all follow for football, 3 teams get relegated and 3 teams get promoted.
Yeah.
They have a standard law. But the first and second is determined by their placement in the league. Then the biggest of them, or which we call the championship playoff, which is the highest paying competition for football in the world, which is one day, we now see teams who finish in 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th engaging themselves in what looks more like a semi-final. 3rd will play 4th, and 5th will play 6th. And the winner between 3rd and 4th, and the winner between 5th and 6th will now get to play in that championship playoff final. And whoever wins that final gets all the money and gets the 3rd and the last slot to gain promotion to. So this one that they are talking about now, all other things being equal, starts tomorrow at the Unilag Cricket Oval. So the best of cricket is what you are also going to be experiencing for 3 weeks, if I am actually correct. Yes. And why they had to choose Sunday is for us to have time to come and see the best. It's going to be in 2 phases.
That will be at the Unilag
Cricket Oval. One at 10 o'clock and one at 2 p.m. And what the CCC is also trying to do is also to move in line with global best practices. So apart from watching these games live, it will also be streamed live. We are making efforts in doing that also, to stream that live.
Before I go to the most important question,
yeah.
The most important question, I'll come to it later. Apart from getting these bats together, getting a carpenter to get it in the shape of the cricket, what else is your people, what are they putting together to ensure that we bring cricket to their doorsteps? This is one of it, yes, but what else?
Okay, so Now you want me to speak for the LACA, and I didn't think that was out here. But I'm aware that one, cricket has been taken back to the schools. So there are a number of schools in Lagos, Methodist Boys High School, and Ansarudeen College, Isolo, Igbobi College, CMS recently, of course King's College, St. Gregory's College.
They've always played cricket.
They've always played cricket. So with the old boys associations, they are revamping the game. They are ensuring that cricket is being played in the schools. But out there, there are developmental plans to ensure that, one, the young ones, the 12-year-olds, the 15-year-olds, are involved in one academy or the other, and there are coaches that are there to impact the game. Part of the plans for this year, this season, is to ensure that there's a midweek league. There's a midweek league comprising of those younger ones, age 15, age 19, age 17, and females. So while the clubs will play during the weekends, we plan that with the involvement of the LACA, there will be a midweek developmental competition for age grade and for females. It's just to also take it back, to the nook and cranny.
How do you help out? Because I know for sure that most of the schools you have named,
yes,
MBHS and Ansarudeen, most of their PE teachers know nothing about cricket.
Yes.
So how do you intend to, if you take cricket to the schools, how do you intend to find someone who is knowledgeable in the game to actually teach these kids?
So what we do is that the state itself has coaches, recognized coaches that are in the employment of the state. Now, these coaches are attached to these schools, and the games masters, are in some kind of apprenticeship under them to ensure that even when the coaches are not available, the games masters are able to continue. And it also provides some platform for the games masters, to learn their trade. So apart from that, also continuously there are platforms to teach the teachers, platforms to teach the teachers. But like I mentioned earlier, it's something that the LACA is doing. I'm not representing them in this forum, So, but I'm aware because I'm close to them that there are plans. One, to take the game to the local governments. Recently there was a female tournament at the Unilag Oval, also last month, where you had, I think, Lagos Island, you had Ekpe, you had Ike. It was all female. For the first time we had a league of females, and they did very well. So it will be sustained. It's a plan at the LACA.
Before we wrap cricket up today, the producer of Plus Sports Special, his name is Tobi Olushola, instructed me to ask this question. If I don't, I'll be punished. So let me just ask it now. Like everywhere in the world, every sphere of life in the world, money is very important. So how, Chairman, how do you intend to actually raise funds? You can't do anything without funds, really, in this part of the world. And so how do you intend to actually get sponsors, to bring them together? Like I was talking about luring the youth to play cricket. How do you actually make sense to these private investors to put their money down?
Sponsorship, over the years has been challenging, but we thank God that God has always helped us because really we don't get any government funding to run cricket, at the club level in Lagos. It would be nice to have some kind of backing.
One or two companies,
yes. It would be nice to have government support, but we all the time will engage private sponsors. This year, for this year's season, our sponsor will be the Honorable Engineer Gbolahan Olusegun Yishawu of the Lagos State House of Assembly. He has decided to partner with us. He has even provided...
But that's personal, that's individual.
That's personal. And that's because he sees sports as a vehicle that takes youths away from the
vices,
streets.
yeah.
Yes, from vices. And he's been to cricket a few times, and he said to me, look, Akin, was he be football all the time? I mean, he didn't think so. It's one of the reasons why Honorable Ishawu has decided to partner with us in the first instance for 1 year, and He's provided the funding that we require. So his league will be called Honorable Engineer Olusegun Bolaon Ishawu Trophy for the year. Like I mentioned earlier, 18 teams will be playing in 2 divisions, and over 100 games will be played over a period of between December and April. So that's basically the outlook of club cricket for the coming season. We have sponsorship. It will be nice to have more. We'll be going to knock on the doors of private organizations, and we hope that the support that we want will come.
And we promise that as far as Plus Sports on PlusTvAfrica is concerned, we always have your back when it comes to cricket, and we'll have you on the show again very soon. Probably maybe after Rwanda. Maybe we will have you again on the show. Akin Denton is the chairman, Cricket League in Nigeria, and of course, he's told us extensively about what they intend to do and what they have done. And I'm impressed, if you ask me. Seun Ajidagba is the go-to man when it comes to cricket in Nigeria amongst my colleagues. And everyone, cricket's problem, especially the names. All those funny Asian names, I don't know how
I've always told you, Wale, that our names are not so difficult. Now, for our coach that is currently in Rwanda, he's a Sri Lankan and a World Cup winner. He won the World Cup in 1996. Deshabandu Asanka Pradiguru Senior.
That's the name that gives person headache. You are saying this with ease. but I think it's a gift for you to be able to do that. I can call some names too, but when it comes to the Sri Lankan names, nah.
Their names are not
on the news, I jump them.
Almost all of them have some wonderful names. I used to remember, of course, I didn't even bother to ask Mr. Akin what team he supports globally, apart from the Yellow Green, which is his, the one that is dear to his heart. And I must also say that is the club he grew to love, Foundation Cricket Club, is, I think, the best run as we speak in terms of organization and past people. Because if you look at the caliber of people that are in that club, the likes of Kwesi Sego, the likes of Kofi Sego, the likes of Mr. Akin Denton himself, Mr. George Wilshire, Mr. Chris Shokoya, all of them is a wonderful. Ifrem Banabi is a fantastic run club, but I don't know where is allegiance like now overseas. What club? What country do you support?
By default, by default, it will be the West Indies. By default, but we all know of the inconsistency of that team.
Yeah.
Lots of times they will let us down,
yes,
and lots of times they will also impress. I think that our club colours foundation is fashioned around the West Indies wine and yellow. So by default it will be West Indies. But for tomorrow's finals and the T20, I think I would support New Zealand to win.
New Zealand.
New Zealand is taking on Australia tomorrow, and the two of them surprisingly have never won this T20 competition before. The
So
West Indies,
one of them win for the first time.
Yeah, the West Indies he is supporting have won it twice, and they are the most decorated as far, and they are defending champion, but unfortunately
they dropped off.
This competition this year they messed up completely. But like he said, New Zealand usually choke when they get to that big final. But I hope the likes of Nisham, Martin Guptill, Ken Williamson, Trent Bolt,
he knows them all.
We'll make it happen.
Yes.
We've had cricket all day today, but I won't forget to mention that the Stockholm Open, the finals are here tonight, and Canada's Denis Shapovalov was a step closer to defending his Stockholm Open title after sending compatriot Felix Auger-Aliassime packing 6-4, 7-5 for a shot at American Tommy Paul in the final. Now, Shapovalov's victory in just under an hour snapped a 2-match losing streak against second-seeded Auger-Aliassime. Now, the other semi-final also pitted countrymen against each other, with world number 53 Paul overcoming 8th-seed American Francis Tiafoe 5-7, 7-6, 5-6-4 for a chance at the title. So I'm going to leave you with this. He's getting into trouble for all the wrong reasons these days. Lewis Hamilton made the most of a new engine to beat Formula One leader Max Verstappen yesterday with the fastest lap in qualifying for the sprint race that will decide the grid for Sunday's Sao Paulo Grand Prix. Hamilton was dominant in all 3 places of the Friday session at the Brazilian city's atmospheric interlog circuit, with the Mercedes driver choking a best time of the minute, 7.934 seconds, and cheered on by the crowd. Red Bull's Dutchman Verstappen was second and 0.438 seconds slower, a considerable margin around one of the shortest laps on the calendar. The Briton will have a 5-place grid penalty for Sunday's main race as a result of his engine change, but can take 3 points if he wins on Saturday.